Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll hear about the State Transportation Department's new 5-year construction plan. We'll also hear about Mesa's plans to create a new high-tech corridor. And we'll look at increasing concerns over Arizona's groundwater supply. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The State Transportation Department Board, recently voted to move forward with a 5-year highway construction program. The vote gives the go-ahead for major projects in Maricopa and Pima counties. Scott Omer is the director of the Arizona Department of Transportation's Multimodal Planning Division. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, this is a 5-year highway construction program, and basically it was okayed, correct?
That's true. The department itself develops the 5-year program on an annual basis, and we prepare that for our State Transportation Board to approve it. The department's responsibility is to prepare the projects that we would like to see constructed in the year, but the Transportation Board is specifically tasked by statute with approving and adopting the program.
So basically a blueprint?
Yes, yes. It talks about this is our implementation plan for the year. It's like our business plan of what types of specific transportation projects we want to build in this year.
And specifically, and important note here, designates funding, correct?
It does, yes it does.
Yeah, all right, let's talk about, it seems, we'll get to some of the projects here in Maricopa County especially, and some of the concerns regarding funding, but it looks like there's an emphasis on preserving existing highways. Am I reading that right?
That's exactly true. When we went through the recession, and I'm gladly that it's starting to turn around a little bit, we had a huge reduction in the amount of funding that we have available for transportation projects nationwide, and it hit Arizona very hard. We reduced our total funding for transportation by hundreds of millions of dollars, and last year it was $350 million we had to take funding away from our program. As a result of that, it really has made the department focus and put an emphasis on taking care of our existing transportation system and preserving our assets. So preservation of the system doesn't necessarily excite a lot of people, but it's our responsibility to take care of our existing pavement and bridges that we have.
And it looks like a 3% increase in preservation funding, something along those lines?
We are. We're trying to target the preservation program to make sure that we're keeping our existing infrastructure acceptable.
And how about, is there some plan for a steady increase over the years ahead?
We do. We developed, this is our first year of developing a 10-year plan, 5-year that's fiscally constrained, which means we have to be specific on the amount of funding. In the next 5 years, we plan out the types of projects we want to see, and we've increased the amount of preservation funds in that time frame.
Let's talk about some of the projects here in Maricopa County. And before we get to these, there are 4 of note. Discuss, if you will, your relationship now with the Maricopa Association of Governments, with MAG, because it seems like, what, did they decide and then you implement? How does that work?
That's true. We have a great relationship with Maricopa Association of Governments, or MAG. Their responsibility is really to identify the specific projects that they would like to see constructed in the time frame, and our responsibility at ADOT is to implement those, construct the projects, and operate the system once that it's completed. But it is their responsibility to choose the projects, and we work very, very well together.
And let's talk about some of these now. The South Mountain Freeway, $1.4 billion allocated for construction, and we still don't even know where that's going to be, do we?
Well, the study will be completed at the end of the year, and it'll give all the specifics about exactly where the project is and how we're going to be implemented over the long term. We have a good idea, and the project is not new. It's been around for a long time, and people understand where the alignment is probably going to be, but we can't say the specific alignment until the study is completed at the end of the year.
But you got to make sure the money's there once it's completed and
That's
ready to go.
exactly right. We can't build anything without the funding being in place.
Looks like Grand Avenue and Bell Road interchange, that's a biggie as well?
It is. There's about $33 million allocated for that specific interchange. And anytime you look at an interchange or a traffic interchange in an urbanized area, such as along Grand Avenue, it's a large cost. You have utilities to relocate and right-of-way to purchase. And anytime you look at construction in those areas, the cost is pretty high.
And we also have the Loop 303 and I-10 interchange, along with I-10 all the way from 32nd Street to the Loop 202. I know that those projects will cost money as well, money being the operative word. Talk about how these projects are prioritized, especially with funding being so difficult these days.
Well, in the MAG region, we do allow MAG prioritizes those projects. But on the statewide basis, we do have a process. The planning, we link our long-range plan with our capital program. We prioritize our projects based on system performance, very similar to the way MAG would do it. And we let system performance dictate exactly where we should be investing our limited amount of revenue onto the projects themselves.
Describe system performance. What does that mean?
To me, system performance is a combination of the condition of your asset. So what's your pavement look like, and what do your bridge conditions look like? Do you have congestion? You know, do you have the sufficient resources to maintain and preserve those? You put all those together, and that's a system performance.
I know you mentioned this, kind of referred to this earlier, but again, the impact of what seems to be stagnant vehicle tax, stagnant gas tax revenue, decreased federal funding, that's got to be almost topic A over there, isn't it?
It is, and honestly, if we continue to have just the existing transportation revenue that we have today, it's going to be very hard to expand our transportation system. We're going to be preserving and maintaining it for years and years. If we don't come up with some sort of new revenue stream, we're really not going to be able to expand our system the way we'd like to, and the way we need to. You know, the department is, through an effort called the Key Commerce Corridors, we've started to identify a potential for a new revenue stream. You know, it's the beginning of it. We've completed a study. It's on our webpage, and hopefully we'll be having an opportunity to speak with the public much more about it. But we do really need to look at investing in our transportation system. We're talking like a $20 billion investment over the next 20 years to really get us focused on bringing jobs to our economy. And that's what we should be doing. That's part of the transportation's mission too.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, we certainly had the next 5 years, a better indication what's going to happen there, at least in terms of funding and in terms of construction. It's good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Tonight's edition of Arizona Technology and Innovation looks at the City of Mesa's efforts to set up a high-tech corridor near the Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport and Apple's new manufacturing plant. Here with more on the plan is Mesa City Councilman Scott Summers and Barry Broom, President and CEO of the Greater Phoenix Economic Council. Good to have you both here. Good to see you both again. Mesa looking to, is this kind of like what they have in Chandler? Is something similar in Mesa? What's going on here?
Chandler certainly is an inspiration. They've had some tremendous success in that community, and we're hoping to replicate it with all the advantages we have in the Mesa Gateway area.
And let's talk about exactly where this is. It's out by both Apple and Gateway, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's going to be obviously Price Road kind of set the tone for the advanced industry and manufacturing corridor in East Valley. That's a maturing corridor, so we need to continue to drive that kind of investment in the market. And this new corridor will take advantage of the Grand Canyon investment that's being made in Mesa. It leverages Arizona State University at Polytechnic, which is becoming a spectacular educational institution. Phoenix Mesa Gateway, it's juxtaposed between two airports, and hopefully we'll get some additional opportunities because of Apple's presence.
And I think we have a map here. It's obviously going to be called the Elliott Road Corridor. What is there now?
Well, what we have right now is some tremendous infrastructure assets. We have water and wastewater, sewer. We have dark fiber, which is available for communications. We have significant infrastructure from SRP in power. And that's one of the biggest assets that we have had to help attract Apple, because companies like that need to have a power supply.
And but again, is this empty land right now? Is this just waiting for something to happen here? Or
It's shovel-ready land,
I
and
see.
that's what this process is trying to do. And so what we have created is a zoning overlay that matches the vision that Mesa has created over really the past 6 to 8 years to say, we want development, but one of the roadblocks oftentimes is how long that process takes to go from land through zoning and permitting. So we're trying to cut that down.
How much are you cutting that down? I mean, how much input are you going to have now?
Well, essentially what we're doing is we're cutting potentially months off of this process by taking this corridor and creating a zoning overlay. And what that would say is that if you bring in another Apple or big company, rather than having to go through an entire zoning process, we're going to do that up front, put the zoning in place, and if you bring in this company and match the vision, all you have to do is sign the paperwork and the zoning's enacted.
What if I've got my eye on that Elliott Road corridor there, and I
Yeah.
don't match the vision?
Well, you, as a property owner, you still have the right to go through the zoning process. So if you want to do big box stores, you have the right to come to the city council, go through the planning department, come to city council and say, this is my vision for this property, and here's why I think it's better.
These overlay ideas and getting everyone kind of on the same page for something like this particular industry, how important is that?
Well, what it does, in the case of Mesa, it's a similar model that we used around Eastmark and with the D&B development over there. So we went from Gaylord, which, we had a down market occur that ended up holding that project, where we were able to convert Apple, almost in the exact same, planning exercise. What you want to be able to do with developers, I mean, your development partner has to be the right partner. So you have to have the right development partners at the table, people like D.L. Withers, D&B out in the East Valley that have been doing good things in that community for a long time. And you want to create a vision around the development. Then you want to give the flexibility for people to make decisions. So in the case of Apple, we had, to make decisions on land and variances. We had to deliver permits within 6 days. And what Mesa did with D&B at Eastmark, made it accessible for us to move as quickly as we needed. And time to market issues on development are going to be really important in the next 3 to 5 years.
In terms of protecting land out near Gateway, how difficult is that?
Well, I will tell you, they've done a great job. Mesa's done a great job, and we catch a lot of heat. Protecting employment centers is really the most important planning objective that should occur within our communities. And there's always a temptation to move real estate in a quick turn because there's pressure on people to get returns, but the communities have both a right and a responsibility to maintain the employment corridors.
And we're seeing the map right there. This Mesa Technology Corridor runs a little bit more east-west there from Apple all the way over to the 202. And then you see, obviously, the airport and ASU Polytech down there to the south. Is this basically a natural process now that the Price Road that we mentioned earlier in Chandler seems to be, as Barry calls it, maturing? But, I mean, there's probably not a heck of a lot available there. All of a sudden, you got Elliott Road ready to go.
Well, certainly the East Valley is growing, and I think Chandler is eventually that's going to build out, but there are going to be more opportunities in Chandler and Tempe as they go vertical in some instances. But really what this is a realization that this area, which we have dreamed for a long time was going to be a high growth employment corridor, is finally coming into its own with the investment of infrastructure.
Yeah, and it's overbuilt infrastructure. One of the things that communities do too often is they build their infrastructure too small. And what I really like about this corridor is it is really overbuilt. It'll be able to handle an Apple plant, a Tesla. I mean, any kind of infrastructure from a power, water standpoint can be met in this corridor. There's also great services coming out of the East Valley community. So Mesa in particular, their water and sewer, your utility folks are very well respected. SRP, was actually under construction for Apple before Apple closed on the building. So there's a great infrastructure. It is overbuilt, which we prefer, and there's a real mindset to get things done.
What are homeowners saying in the area? It looked like the height requirement was like 150, maybe the restriction was 150 feet, something along those lines. First of all, are there many homeowners out there? And secondly, if there are, what are they saying?
Well, they're saying that they enjoy the jobs, and of course they're looking at the plan to make sure that their home investment is protected. But you have a natural barrier here with the power lines, so it creates several hundred feet of buffer between these buildings and those homes.
Power line to the north, south, east, west, where?
Well,
does
it would be to the south of the homes and to the north of
Okay.
the zone.
And as far as a timetable now for this new ordinance, for the overlay, the whole nine, what are we looking at here?
Well, right now we're going to go through the zoning process, so the public will have an opportunity to look at it and make some comments. So next few months, we should see it, probably by September.
The idea of focusing, last question here, focusing an area on one industry in particular, or at least the trending of one, is there a danger there? What happens if the next mousetrap is built and all of a sudden we're looking at all these things that are close to being obvious? I mean, it's a little far-fetched there, but can you have too much of the same thing in one spot?
Well, you can, but I'll give you an example. If you build the infrastructure right and you do the right things, we had First Solar build a 1.2 million square foot facility. And when the company restructured because of solar demand and some other challenges in the industry, one of the things we'd said to the Mesa officials, we have the best piece of infrastructure in the United States. Who would have dreamt it would have turned into Apple? So building the right infrastructure is always the right decision. Staying in the advanced manufacturing space is always the right strategy too. And these industries like to be with each other. They like to be next to each other. They like to share pre-competitive relationships around technology and manufacturing processes. So you have to commit yourself to it, and you have to be disciplined in maintaining the planning and zoning objectives of the corridor.
All right, the Elliott Road Corridor. We will keep an eye on that. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
In our continuing look at sustainability, we focus tonight on Arizona's groundwater supplies, and joining us to talk about groundwater preservation and management ideas is Kathleen Ferris, Executive Director of the Arizona Municipal Water Users Association. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Groundwater can't sustain Arizona growth.
Absolutely not.
Interesting. Talk to me. Tell me more.
So, in 1980, we passed a landmark law. It's called the Groundwater Management Act. And why did we do that? We did it because we were mining our groundwater supplies at alarming rates. Groundwater is a finite supply. It's not renewable. So what we have to do is use that as a savings account, not for growth that is dependent on water day in and day out.
I was going to ask about that, the 100-year Assured Water Plan. I mean, that was supposed to make sure that you can build it, but you got to find it, and it's got to be there for 100. Is that not working?
No, it's working fabulously. But the problem is that as we grow more, there will be more and more pressure to find new water supplies to sustain that growth. And the choice is not to go back on pumping groundwater. Mm-hmm. The choice is to find other renewable water supplies, build infrastructure, and to drive growth to where the renewable water supplies are.
What are we seeing as far as new wells right now? Is it going crazy out there? Are they?
Most of them are in California drilling well.
Yeah.
Most of the well drillers are in California, Central California, drilling wells. The reason it's not going crazy here is because we have the Groundwater Management
mm-hmm.
Act, and new wells in our most populated areas of the state are highly regulated. But what we have, the bigger problem is that we have people that have rights that predated the groundwater code or have new permits to withdraw groundwater, and they get to withdraw groundwater and they don't have to replenish it, or in any way transfer to renewable water supplies.
I know that some home building up in Chino Valley has some concern for folks regarding the Verde River and reservoirs there. Talk to us about that.
Well, you know, that's a real difficult situation because the Prescott area needs imported water in order to achieve the goals of the Groundwater Code, which is safe yield. No more water is pumped out than is replenished annually.
Yes.
And so they're allowed under state law to pump groundwater in a different basin and transport it to the AMA. The problem is that groundwater is connected to the base flow of the Verde River. And the Verde River, as you know, supplies water to the Salt River Project and eventually to my member cities, the Arizona Municipal Water User Cities.
You talk about the fact that some of this stuff is grandfathered in. How Byzantine are these kinds of, I mean, how deep in the weeds do you get with some of these things? Because I would think if drilling here, you're worried about there, I've been here for this long, you've been there.
Well, here's the thing. The Groundwater Code started where we were and grandfathered in users and then tried to move forward prospectively. And it's been a very smart law. Let me give you an example. We were overdrafting our groundwater supplies in the central Arizona area by 2.5 million acre feet when the Groundwater Code was passed. That's enough water to serve tons of people. It's a ridiculous amount of water. An acre foot will serve 2.5 households.
Okay.
So today, our overdraft is only about 178,000 acre feet. So that shows you how successful we've been. We've been phenomenally successful, but there are pressures. There are pressures because all of those residual pumpers are going to continue to pump, and the Department of Water Resources projects that we will be in overdraft by about 200,000 acre feet by 2025. That's enough water to serve 500,000 people.
So what is the answer for this? What in terms of management, in terms of finding new water sources?
So the answers in my mind are this. First of all, we've got to put some limits on where new wells can be drilled. Back to your original point. We have to stop people from being able to drill wells that impact water supplies that have been stored underground by other users. We have a law that allows you to store excess CAP water, treated wastewater underground. And that's a great thing, but the law also allows the person who stored that underground to go somewhere else to pump it. So there's this disconnect between where the water is stored and where it's pumped, and this will eventually exacerbate our groundwater problems. We've got to close that disconnect. We've got to push people to withdraw the water where they store it. We've also got to, in advance of growth, find renewable water supplies and build the infrastructure to bring it to where it's needed.
Describe renewable water supplies.
Renewable water supplies are surface water supplies and treated wastewater, believe it or not, which is becoming a huge source of water.
I know that this doesn't necessarily deal with what you're talking about, but I'm fascinated by what's happening down in Sierra Vista with the San Pedro. Everyone wants to keep the San Pedro River as it is, especially if you're a bird watcher and those sorts of folks. But you got a development down there, and a judge kind of threw a monkey wrench into everything, saying, yeah, groundwater is one thing, but you can't mess up the river too. What was that all about?
So here's what it's about. There is something called the general stream adjudication that's been going on for 40 years. And part of that adjudication is to determine when you can pump groundwater and when that groundwater affects stream flow. It's never been resolved. And so the Department of Water Resources issued a permit, a certificate of assured water supply to this development to pump groundwater. But the federal government and the San Pedro area have a reserved right under federal law to surface water. And so the question is, will that pumping affect that reserved right? And the judge said, we don't like what the department did.
Yeah.
We feel like this reserved right needs to be protected, and we don't want to see landowners 20 years down the road not having any water.
Right, right. Last question here. Is there the political will to address this issue and to say no when people want to continue or add wells?
There has to be. There absolutely has to be, because our economic prosperity depends on this, on the keeping the groundwater code in place and managing our water supplies for the future. And we have done such a good job, we would be so foolish if we if we've changed what we have. We have to enhance it, make it better.
All right. Great information. Good stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And tomorrow on Arizona Horizon, our monthly edition of Southern Exposure looks at issues of note south of the Gila River, and we'll tell you about an old treatment being used in a new way to help men with prostate cancer. That's tomorrow evening, 5:30 and 10, right here on Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
The Global Institute of Sustainability is the heart of ASU's sustainability initiatives, advancing research, education, and business practices for an urbanizing world. Learn more about ASU sustainability at sustainability.asu.edu/TV.